Hello and happy Wednesday. Here's another Why Wednesday. I'm so excited to be coming on, saying hello to the diaper change community, and really sharing something that's very important to me. I've spent a lot of time in hospitals that are, in this country, in Europe, in the Caribbean, and especially New York is where I started really thinking about this process. And I kind of go around all the hospitals whenever I'm there, and I'm like, let me make sure you're baby friendly, right? And so the baby friendly designation, as I said in the post, is a designation from the World Health Organization that says that this hospital gets a gold sticker for the way that they promote and support breastfeeding, right? So these are the steps, and I'm going to start from 10 to 1 because 10 is a little underappreciated, and I want to make sure that families understand the importance of this, and families aren't surprised about the outcomes of not having this step, and then we'll work our way up to 1. So, hello, diaper change community. I don't know that I said hello yet, but this is kind of a checklist, right? And so I'm gonna go in order. I know them out of order, so I'm gonna go in order though. So the last step is step number 10, and it is that this staff at the hospital connects families to support groups and to other resources in the community. Now, the reason this is super important is because many mamas, it breaks my heart, they say, oh, I didn't know breastfeeding would be this hard. And so, that means they probably would not have taken a prenatal breastfeeding class or, hadn't really thought about it antenatally before having the baby. And so when you have this tiny human and you are being sent home 2 or 3 days after their birth, sometimes less with the pandemic going on, you are kind of like, oops, I need some support, right? And you don't really know where to go. So in my preceptorship, my preceptors I've noticed that they've been giving a booklet to every new mom, just saying, hey, here's our number. If you need to call us when you go home, this place has a breastfeeding group. It's in your neighborhood, right? So really, really, really thinking about access, right? And when we think about access to quality breastfeeding education, of course, antenatally, that's important. But this number 10 step is so important to make sure that moms are supported after they go home. Breast milk doesn't even really come in until the 3rd or 4th day. So you're sending a mom home like kind of barely on training wheels, and you're like, oh, when you get home, there's going to be a bike there and ride it, right? So this step makes sure that you're more connected to skills about how to actually ride a bike when you get home, right? How to actually work through some of the things that might arise in those early days, right? So step number 9 is no pacifier or artificial nipples. And of course, we know the benefits of breastfeeding, and we also know that it's a supply-demand relationship from my previous Why Wednesday video about the baby priming the pump. So it's a supply-demand relationship, so you want to not interrupt that relationship with something like a pacifier or a bottle's nipple that are going to be very different than mama's breast. And you want to make sure that that is not confusing or really, I don't like to use the word confusing because that's another story, but you want to make sure it's really not intervening with the natural process with the breast. Babies getting used to that, you don't want to confuse them, right? It's like if you are trying out allergies, if you're doing the allergy, kind of understand like, oh, I had this allergic reaction. What is it from? You're not gonna try broccoli and sweet potatoes and carrot. You're gonna be like, okay, well, I'm gonna try broccoli. Focus on that, right? So this is a way to get baby to focus on the relationship to mama's breast or chest, right? So step number 8 is breastfeeding on demand. Mamas are encouraged to breastfeed on demand. Now, to this we say, watch the baby, do not watch the clock. And this is because, like us, babies aren't going to eat on, like, at 3 o'clock I need to eat, like, lunch, and at 4 o'clock I need to eat dinner, They're not as specific as we all are. Some days we might have lunch at 11:45, and some days we might have lunch at 12:30. And babies getting used to this breastfeeding relationship or chest feeding relationship are not going to be magically feeding on the clock, right? So we want to be open to this concept that just like watch the baby for their cues. And speaking of cues, this step, hospital-wise, looks like the staff really being able to educate mom on what cues to look for, right? So that's putting the hand to the mouth, that's like, having a closed fist, that's like rooting, these kinds of things that we want to make sure staff is informing families so that they know what to look out for and they're not like, it's 12 o'clock, the baby needs to eat, because that's kind of not a real thing, right? For this tiny little baby who's trying to figure things out and is not like on this real schedule. So step number 7 is rooming in. So rooming in is exactly what it sounds like. Baby and mom stay together in the same room for 24 hours a day. Some hospitals, I've seen it where some staff find it easier to like weigh the baby in the nursery or, do this exam in the nursery. Like, mama will bring the baby back. And that is not quite baby friendly because we don't want to have any missed opportunities, right? Because we're telling mom and family to watch baby's cues, right? So how are they going to watch the cues if the baby's in the NICU for 15 minutes, right? Or in the nursery for 15 minutes. So we want to just really provide all the opportunities we can. So rooming in. Another note on rooming in is skin to skin. So that's another benefit of mom and baby being in the same room. Baby being on mom's skin or on their birthing parent's skin really makes it so that they can sniff around, get used to it, prime their pump, help get that milk out by having that relationship with their birthing parent's body, right? In that moment. So rooming in, super, super important. We don't want to miss any opportunities. Number 6 is nothing other than breast milk. And this is for the reason that you don't have like pacifiers or a bottle, because we don't want to interrupt the breastfeeding process. The other thing is we want to, as we're talking about these natural cues, you want to honor these natural cues. But if baby has had a substitute and you're like looking for this hunger cue, there is no hunger cue because one, they're not hungry, and so they wouldn't be cueing, right? So we really want to offer that opportunity to make sure that we're not interrupting that process. We're not missing an opportunity to nurse by offering a substitute. Those first couple of weeks are so important to establish that breastfeeding relationship. And so really important to just stick to what we know. Back to the allergy example, right? Just like thinking, if we're testing broccoli to see if we're allergic to broccoli, just have broccoli because we need to really focus on broccoli right now. So number 5 is showing all moms how to breastfeed and maintain lactation even when they're away from their baby. This is super important for so many reasons. One, because some moms have so much milk and baby might not be able to empty the breast at every time when you are full, right? So you need to know, what does hand expression look like? What does pumping look like? And this helps to increase your supply, maintain your supply. This is really important. If you don't know what to do other than the baby emptying the breast, then you could lose opportunities to empty the breast and therefore losing opportunities for the breast to fill up. So step number 4 is breastfeeding should be initiated within 1 hour of birth. Again, super critical period that we don't want to miss any opportunities, and we also don't want to promote any or facilitate any conditions that would necessitate intervention. And that's kind of a long way to say, like, we want to feed this baby as like this process is going to take a while. We want to start this process as soon as possible, get this baby to mama's breast and get mama's body and baby's little mouth used to all of this very soon, because it's not quite easy. It's natural, but it's not quite easy, and we want to get that started within 1 hour. So that is the time that the World Health Organization has designated that window of opportunity to really get things started and to have baby be refamiliarized with mom or their birthing parent, right? But from the outside, right? And this is when they're doing this in that first hour. We'll see really specific things that really honor that window and that we want to take an opportunity of. So step 3 is we want to talk to all moms about the benefits of breastfeeding and the management of breastfeeding. So this is breastfeeding education, right? And you want to share, what I like about step 3 is that I think it highlights that it's really easy, unfortunately, for many different reasons, especially for moms who are Black or who belong to another marginalized population, it is really easy to offer an alternative, right? And so we want to make sure that we are across the board telling all moms, assuming that all moms want to breastfeed. And if they don't, if they actively state they don't want to, that is another story. But we're assuming that all moms want and need the information of how breastfeeding can be beneficial for them and their baby, and how they can manage this breastfeeding experience. So that education is super important. Then step 2 and step 1 kind of go together. Step 2 is training all staff. And this is updated, this is evidence-based information that all staff members have. So for me, it is important that it's updated and evidence-based information that all healthcare staff are getting, but all is the key here. So all staff, all healthcare members. So it's not just a lactation consultant, right? It's not just a postpartum nurse, right? All staff, all healthcare staff that are going to be interacting with this baby and this mama or birthing parent are educated, right? Because, you know, we are having very specific windows of opportunity, and we want everyone to be able to answer questions and everyone to feel confident doing so. And the first one, which we left for last, but the first one I think is pretty direct. So it's a written breastfeeding policy in the hospital. So I have a nice fun game of taking pictures of like breastfeeding kind of literature and the policies posted around the hospitals that I visit. I'll be like going to see a family member's baby and I'm like, oh. But yeah, so that's important, one, because we have to normalize breastfeeding. That's important. We don't think about this in the breastfeeding world because it's so familiar and just kind of like, yeah, well, duh, we want to support all moms, but you know, for not for everyone is it normal, right? And so getting to a hospital and seeing like, oh, look, this is their policy on this. Okay, they're really going to promote this. You know, I had a mom recently who said, she was so funny. She said, you know, no one was moving to get my baby some formula, so I figured I had to breastfeed. And she was really funny, and we talked for a while. And that is obviously just kind of, you know, the way that she experienced her situation, but I do think that ties in well with the breastfeeding policy, right? A written breastfeeding policy that's like, what is standard here? Do we offer every mom a formula or an alternative? Do we do we decide who we offer breastfeeding education to, right? It's just like a policy. It's just like, here it's written, this is how we go about this. Unless medically indicated, which we have in step 6 with nothing other than breast milk, unless it's medically indicated, as this mom put it perfectly, no one was rushing to get her baby some formula because the policy is that, you know, breast milk first. We know the benefits of breastfeeding. We're going to try to offer that first. And obviously, if it's refused, if this mom said, you know, I'm not into that, I don't want to do that for whatever reason, that's also fine. You know, because it's all about empowering and honoring every family's choice, right? Every mother or birthing parent's choice. So it's fine if she was just like, no one was moving to get my baby formula and I absolutely demanded it. That's different, you know, get her formula because it's about empowerment. It's about her choice and honoring her choice. Once you know that she's received the adequate education on just kind of the benefits of breastfeeding and what not breastfeeding would look like for her and her baby. So anyway, thank you